Through Adversity is sponsored by MVS Autos, keeping you on the road. MVS Autos offer a range of vehicle services including MOT, servicing, repairs, welding, diagnostics, aircon and much more. Based in Wormley, serving all of Bristol and surrounding areas. For 10% discount, quote TAP MVS when booking. Hello and welcome to Through Adversity with me, Rich, and a big thanks to my sponsor, MVS Autos, based in Wormley, Bristol. Now, today I'm joined by a member of the British Empire, Mr. Wayne Ingram MBE. Your Majesty, welcome to Through Adversity. How's it going, mate?
Mate, it's really good and it's awesome to see you again.
Yeah, and this is me popping your podcast cherry, isn't it?
Yeah, you're taking it, and there's no holding back from you,
There
as
won't
always.
be. I'm just going to go in dry, really. I'm going to cause you so much pain. so,
And,
those listening, you might realise that myself and we do know each other and we cross paths, but we'll get into how we met on this journey we're going to take. And I'm surprised that there haven't been more people sort of grabbing hold of you because you've had such an interesting life. When we sort of crossed our paths going back 30 odd years ago,
yeah,
I had no idea which way you were going to go. You didn't know which way I was going to go. And we bumped into each other again, about a year ago, wasn't it, give or take?
yeah,
So,
probably.
mate, I'm going to dig deep about your whole life and go into your journey because it's just amazing what you've done and what you've achieved in the same sort of period that I've made different sorts of achievements, less
Read,
recognisable.
read the book.
Read the book and find out. So Wayne, tell us about. Let's go back to the beginning. Tell us about growing up. What was it like for you growing up?
So we've mentioned about this in the past. Growing up for us, because we're both the same age, was completely different to the children today.
Yeah,
I came from a lovely household in South London. The old man was a firefighter in London Fire Brigade at the time, and mum, she was a lollipop lady, and then had a second job as a cleaner in a bingo. Money was scarce.
yeah.
The old man had two jobs, so he was a firefighter, and then when he wasn't working, he was either a lorry driver or he was working as a doorman at one of the clubs in Streatham called Flickers, ironically, as a firefighter.
Flickers.
So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, mate, it was good. Yeah, I couldn't ask for any more support from the parents. They weren't the sort of parents who would um, try and install education in us. Um, but I didn't want education at the time. All I wanted to do was join the military. From the age of about 5, I just wanted to go into the army.
So that was you. So from like from far as you can remember, you always wanted to join it. You didn't want to go follow your dad's footsteps into the fire service or anything.
No, but I mean, I could have done because when I left school, and we'll talk about school in a minute if that's all right.
Yeah.
Um, Mate, the headmaster grabbed hold of me and said to me, "You are never going to make anything of your life."
Oh,
Yeah, and he stood there, and his black academic cloak, his square academic hat, and still holding the cane in his hand, which he had all the time.
yeah.
Um, and that was on the Friday. On the Monday, I started working in the House of Parliament. I did that for 6 months, doing the
Yeah.
Hansard. They offered me a full-time position. I was like, no. I mean, I was on stupid money back
Really?
in '85. I was on
Yeah.
sort of like £300 a week as a
No
16-year-old.
way. That's insane.
Mate, it
I
was
was
it was stupid.
£25 a week as an apprentice welder. That's
Mate,
insane.
it was honestly, it was stupid. And then I went because I left that and I went to the fire brigade to do the
Yeah.
recruitment, and it was there that Dick Beattie and Gary Sheen, who were both station officers at the time,
Yeah.
said to me, "Look, if you want to join the fire brigade, wait until you're 18, stay with us and do recruitment, and then we'll get you in." So I could have gone straight into the fire brigade.
So was it a simple, because I know more recent, I say recent, last 20, 30 years, joining the fire service is a lot more selection. Trying to get in these days is almost impossible, isn't it? Because of the waiting list to get in there. So would it have
Unbelievable.
been like straight through the back door then, pretty much?
Yeah. I've been given a pass to get straight in.
Yeah.
Um, and it would have been a fantastic job. I mean, I remember my old man telling me stories of some of the things he'd done. And this
Mm.
hero running through burning house because at the time health and safety wasn't so paramount for firefighters in the 70s,
It
80s.
wasn't invented, was it, back then?
Mate, and he had, I remember, yellow leggings, a black tunic. He had his axe on his side, and I think they had a scarf, a silk scarf that he'd put over the face, and this cork helmet.
Wow.
And I listened to him
Yeah.
like, we used to live behind Purley Fire Station on the
Yeah.
Brighton Road,
Yeah.
and because it used to be the firemen's cottages behind there, so the old man bought one,
Mm.
and of course, as kids, we were right next to the fire station, so it was a white watch. It was when they were
Yeah.
on. I used to go and make them cups of tea and things like that. They'd let me play snooker up in their attic.
So we had the
It was
same
brilliant.
experience as a kid. My dad was in the police force, and they had the same thing. They had the club, the bars. That it'd be the same thing, like a skittle alley. There'd be a bar. There'd be snooker
Yeah,
tables, and we pretty much lived in there. Friday nights, everyone would get an asshole, and
yeah,
that was
that's
just the
it.
way it was. That community, that was their debrief, wasn't it? That was their mental health. That was their how they dealt with things and go and get drunk, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's spot on. Do you know? But at the time, we obviously we didn't know that, and I don't think they knew that was their decompression time. But it
Yeah,
was, to get drunk, to all spend time together.
yeah,
It just wouldn't happen now. I mean,
no,
I remember when I was a retained fireman, which would, I know you want to talk about that later.
yeah,
But on a Thursday night, mate, we used to be drill night. Then at the end of the drill night, we used to, hang one on in the bar
yeah,
and get pissed.
yeah. And that's how it is, isn't it? That's how it
Yeah,
is, getting wasted. And I think that's that camaraderie that you build with people that you're working in blue light with. And I know from experience from younger from mum and dad is that divorce rates are quite high, weren't they, back in those days? Because the dads were usually working hard, drinking hard.
yeah,
Marriage was a wreck, wasn't it, half the time?
yeah. I mean, I'm lucky. Can't ever remember my parents, getting drunk. Um, but yeah, I remember certain things about childhood, but it was just a loving childhood. It was they didn't have much. Um, with food, I mean, I remember, if we didn't eat dinner at night time, then we'd have to eat for breakfast.
Yeah,
And sometimes mum, the only food that she would have, I mean, she'd always make sure that me, my brother and sister and my dad were fed.
yeah.
And what was left, then she would have it because they had no money.
Sounds very much the same, like a typical coming up childhood in the 70s, isn't it? Did
Yeah.
you ever have like, was it as much the same as we had? Was it bath night on a Sunday night? and
Yeah.
and then if you were really lucky, if you're really little, you get washed in the kitchen sink.
So when I was born, they didn't
Yeah.
have, like I said, they still had no money. So I slept in the bottom drawer, which I found out, I found out a long time ago. But because
Yeah.
when the boys were born, they were saying, yeah, but your first cot or your first crib was the bottom drawer of the thing. So they cut it out, or pull it out,
Yeah.
put some blankets in there, and then that would be my bed.
Did they close you back into it again as well
Yeah,
for safekeeping or
mate,
keep it?
that's why I hated working on tanks.
Yeah, because little bit confined childhood trauma
Yeah,
for at its worst. Hell, but that was the way it was, wasn't it?
yeah,
And
yeah, it was.
do you think that those sort of childhood experiences that you have are lost in a lot of? I know a lot of it isn't right. Do you think a lot of young people lose that development, sort of that need to think out things a little bit harder when they're younger? Do you think that's a loss now, or do you think it's better as it is now?
No, do you know what? Sadly, I think we had it good.
Yeah,
We didn't have the things such as mobile phones and all the stuff like that. I mean, there was only 3 channels when we started. I mean, I remember our first video recorder being a Betamax.
yeah,
Um, but as kids, we were constantly out. We were out all the time playing.
yeah,
And we'd go into woods, build camps, and build a fire.
yeah,
And you'd sit around cooking potatoes on the fire
yeah.
potato that your parents got you, and they were black on the outside,
You
raw on
still
the
eat it though,
inside.
wouldn't you? You still
Mate, it
you
was
still
like
crunch
like a
through it.
Michelin style meal
Yeah,
because you cooked yourself. But I
yeah,
think now, um, if people saw children building a fire,
yeah.
then they'd have less tolerance. They'd probably report it to the police.
We would, I would consider us as possibly feral when we're
Yeah,
kids, but it was feral in a good way. You knew that you came in at a certain time. You knew you'd be out nearly all day. You wouldn't, you'd forget to eat unless you're cooking some jacket spuds. You
yeah,
make traps. You have stick fights, stone fights. That's how it was, wasn't it?
yeah,
And
absolutely spot on.
yeah, and I make dams in rivers. Find a river up, make a dam. Why? Because we can.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. So how old were you when you joined the army?
So I was 16.
So you went in as a junior bleeder.
No, apologise. So I just turned 17. So I
Yeah,
turned 17 in the September, and
yeah.
I joined on the 6th of December 1986,
Oh, it's a couple of years before me then.
up at
Year and a half.
Carrick.
Yeah. Oh, who was the
14,
training?
1420th King's Hussars.
1420th Hussars. We had the
Yeah.
Royal Irish, Queen's Royal Irish Hussars.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
Right,
what?
I loved it.
So talk
Absolutely
about
loved it.
Catterick. So coming from down south,
Down
you would have
south,
got the
yeah.
train up through, I'm presuming, Temple Meads maybe, and you would have carried on up through
Uh,
York and up to Richmond or
I think
Darlington.
I got the train from well, it would have gone from Reedham to Victoria,
Yeah.
and then I would have got the tube from Victoria to King's Cross, and I'm sure it was King Cross, all the way up through that area, up through York and that way,
Yeah.
and arriving at Catterick
Darling.
train station, Darlington. No, was it
Darlington, isn't
Darlington?
it? Yeah.
Darlington, and there'd been a 4-tonner waiting for us.
That's it. Back of a Bedford, wouldn't it? You
Yeah,
walk in there as a civvy with your sort of longish hair.
yeah,
And yeah, but we would have had more or less exactly the same experience. So you were there a couple of years before me.
yeah,
So basic training in Catterick Garrison, the square, the cattle shed, all that sort of
yeah.
thing, the cattle grid. All these things become quite iconic, don't they, when you're in that? Was it 8 weeks you did as well? Basic,
Yeah.
then 8 weeks trade?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you remember the name of the log that we used to do the log run with? If they start, I do. Never forget it. It's called Ethel.
Mate,
Ethel the
really?
log. Yeah, they called it Ethel. I don't know why. It was just massive. I don't know why they called it Ethel, but maybe it's Ethel. But it was this pretty much telegraph pole, wasn't it? Is what it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see this log run was on week 4, I think, just before they do your I don't know when it was, but how did you feel when you went into the Catterick garrison for the first couple of days?
Uh, do you know, for us it was weird because we went home for Christmas leave.
Did you
So
really?
it was weird. So we got there on the 8th of December, and
Yeah.
then I think we did up until like the 22nd of December. Said, right, then you're going home.
Yeah.
So we went home on leave, and we're due to come back. I think like the 4th of. I can't believe. But do you know, I'll just turn it off. I completely
No
forgot
worries,
that
mate.
beauty.
No worries.
Yeah. So what we did, we went home for Cree, and I remember like due to be back on like the 3rd, and me, Tony Dixie's name was. We
Yeah.
came back on like on the 31st because we just wanted to be back there.
Really?
And yeah, we came back and Corporal Lithgow
Yeah.
said, right, what you two have been back? Oh, we're here, Corporal, because we're really eager. He said, right, brilliant, you can babysit for me.
No way.
So we both babysat for him, on New Year's Eve.
So that answered my question. Is about. I was going to say, how did it feel when you went back on leave after starting basic? Did you want to go back? Clearly, you did.
Absolutely. I remember going down into London because at the time, remember, we weren't allowed to wear uniform out because of the IRA.
Yeah.
Soft
Soft target, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, down in London that way. And I remember getting on my kit and putting my combats on.
On the train.
Actually, no, it was my lightweights, my green jacket, and my green belt and my beret, and then walking from the train station to home, thinking
Yeah.
I was like 14 foot tall.
Yeah. The biggest giveaway I used to have,
Mate.
because the same thing, we couldn't have our kit on, was just the holdall and your sausage bag on your back. I
Yeah.
take it, you'd have your holdall in the one hand, your arm, and
Yeah.
your sausage bag with your army number on the back and your name,
That's it.
Jones 691,
Yeah.
and then that'd be your sort of check me out, I'm in the army sort of thing, wouldn't it?
Did you do you would have done the river run?
Yeah, to break your
Right.
boots in.
Yeah. So I don't know if they did the same for you, but we all lined up at the side of the river, and it was I can't remember what it was. He said, right, when I say jump, jump, and he went jump, and we all jumped into the river.
Yeah.
He went, right, you fools. I said, just jump, not into the river. So you have to do 10 press ups in the river. It was all like the big game. They've seen it time and time again, but we did
Yeah.
exactly what the previous recruits done and the recruits after us and stuff like that. And then you did
Yeah.
a river run and then through where they let off CS gas in the tunnels.
Right at the end of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
going
Those,
through.
it's mental because there's certain parts of basic which I remember quite vividly, and one of them was this thing called Heartbreak Ridge, and it was a little ravine,
Yeah,
and it was steep, really steep. We're covered in heather and ferns. And they would make us run up and down that thing all day. And what they did is, the end, they made us all line up at the top. And then a pretend rifle, they pretend to shoot us. Say, right, we're going to shoot you, and you have to pretend to die. And who could do the most spectacular roll down this? And it was proper steep, mate. If you're going down it, you're going down it. And it's
Mate,
just,
imagine that now.
it'd be on social media, wouldn't it? People would be TikToking it going down this hill. So basic training, passing out parade. How was that?
Yeah, really good. So the guy, what's his name? The sergeant who recruited me through what was the name of it? The recruiting office. I'm trying to think. Norwood Careers Office. He paid for my parents, my grandparents, and he hired them. So he got the army minibus and drove them all up to Catterick.
Really?
Yeah. It was Steve. I can't remember his name. Mate, they become really good friends.
Yeah.
And then he drove them back afterwards. Yeah. It was all good, but it was cold. I remember it really cold.
I mean, January would have been then.
Yeah. Was it February or March? February time, I think. So February, so cold.
Yeah, in winter in Catterick. I mean, I went there. We were lucky. We started in May, passed out the 2nd or 3rd of July, so we had the spring and summer. Hot, but it was absolutely hammering down the rain on pass out. It was the only day it rained was on the passing out day. But yeah, so which trade training? So couple of weeks signals, phase 1, SIGs.
Yeah,
and then which way did you go? Upstairs or downstairs?
Mate, I stayed upstairs. I stayed there, did the old gunnery.
Good man.
Yeah.
Nice to see it. Yeah, 8 weeks gunnery course.
Yeah, on Chieftain.
Oh yeah, Chieftain as well. Yeah, because Charlie was at the unit. So
that's
how was that?
Age.
I know.
Do you know, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I remember going on to Walcott to do the live firing.
Yeah.
And absolutely cracked myself when the first round was fired, because I didn't realise just how loud it would be. And I was stood in the tower, and this thing went like, what is that all about?
And we wonder why we're putting in hearing claims.
Say again. What was that?
Yeah. What? You're right. And if anyone out there listening has not ever heard a main armament of a Challenger tank being let off, go to the vicinity of a range somewhere. There's at Warcop, there's Lulworth, there's a couple around the country. I think there's one in Wales somewhere as well, I believe. If you get the chance, I know you can't go on the range, but these things are phenomenal, aren't they? It goes right through you, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we can still hear them from where we are. With the wind's in the right way, I think we're about 20 odd mile from Lulworth, and you can still hear the rounds going off.
God, I miss that. I do miss it. But it's weird because it's louder when you're outside the wagon than when you're firing from the gunner seat. You just get hit in the face with the sight, don't you? You just got to deal with it. But you don't. It's a muffled noise, isn't it? Because it's all been projected down ahead of you.
Yeah.
So gunner, good skills. Phase 1 SIGs. Off to the unit. Which regiment did you go into?
So I went into the 2nd Royal Tank Regiment.
Is that like the yellow on the like the?
That's it. And we were based in Fallingbostel, in Germany.
Fally. Wow. So is that where you went to? You got sent to Fally straight away?
Yeah. So I think it was about April time. I went to Fally, and that was a massive learning curve. 17 years of age.
Yeah.
In a man's army.
Yes.
The only time I've ever been away from home was with my parents when we used to go to a place in Spain.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, at the time, it was the Deutschmark, and there was 3 Deutschmarks to the pound. Yeah. And a beer was like 90 pfennig, so it was like 30 or beer, 30p. And I was introduced as Back and Coke, brandy and Coke, in the squadron bars.
Oh, yeah, downstairs. Well, downstairs underneath.
No, well, we had one on the ground floor in this one, but when we went back in 92. We went back in 92.
Yeah.
They were all downstairs in the cellar, weren't they?
Underneath. That's right, because I kept banging my head on the low cellar.
Yeah.
So that's where the drinking culture kicks in, isn't it? One, because it's so cheap and everyone's doing it, because it was Cold War, wasn't it? There wasn't much going on.
Right.
So let's talk about Fally, because it's not just Fally, is it? Fally's not the interesting part of it, is it? What's up the road for about 45 minutes north of Fallingbostel?
Yeah, it's a place where some people well, some certain ladies frequent.
And we could be talking about Hamburg and the Reeperbahn.
Mate, we could be talking Hamburg and Reeperbahn, or we could be talking, if you go the other way, to Hanover.
Hanover, same
But
direction, same distance.
let's stay on Hamburg and the
Let's.
Reeperbahn.
Were you taken there as someone new, and did you get
Oh,
initiated there?
absolutely, yeah.
And
The
on,
So my 18th birthday, we went to Hamburg. Um, Mate, because my birthday's in September, and it was just like, mate, it was just trying to do it now. So we'd pull up in a car park, and we'd sort of like lay our roll mats out in a parking space next to the
yeah,
car,
yeah,
and the Germans would have tiptoed round us,
yeah,
not to wake the stupid Brits up. You know, you get down the Reeperbahn, it was like there was a place called Caesar's Palace. It's probably long gone now, and
yeah.
you'd pay 15 marks to get in, um, and you could drink as much as you want.
Wow.
Or there was another place down the road where they had telephones on the tables. So, like, just say, for instance, you saw some girls on number, say, table 20, and you fancied
Yeah.
them. Hello.
Oh, really? So you
Right,
just
like
bring
that.
up table 20?
Yeah, and they're like, oh, Brits, no, put the phone down. But downstairs
Yeah,
was a shooting gallery,
yeah.
right, with proper pellets.
No
So,
way.
mate, you get a load of pissed up squaddies,
Yeah.
right, go down there, and all of a sudden you'd be like, but it was like porcelain of trophies behind.
So
And
you're
all of
going
a
to
sudden
be
you'd be like,
shooting the
ching,
trophies.
ching, get out! Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Leave.
and then you go down to the Reaper, and that's what the guys then they could have paid the 50 Deutschmarks for me that night as an
Yeah.
18th birthday present.
It was mad.
Yeah,
We won't go into too many details, but there's a couple of renowned bars in Hamburg in the Reeperbahn, which most squaddies will go to, or will have gone to, or would have heard of, or would have run a mile from, and that's Rasputin's and Monica's. Do they ring a bell?
yeah,
Both
slightly.
of
Hope
them.
hope my wife don't listen.
No,
Yeah, no,
well, everyone
definitely.
else is.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah,
Mate,
and
mad,
these
mad
are
times.
just interesting places, aren't they? Interesting places, and I think if anyone ever does go to Germany and they're heading up towards the sort of north central North Germany, pop into the Reeperbahn. It's the way to describe it is like a condensed version of Amsterdam without the drugs. That's how I could describe it. It's just
Yeah, spot on.
culturally, it is brilliant to look at and see, and just see how the Germans get it done, and it's just a fascinating place to be. And that's the only thing that makes Fally worth being stationed at, I think. Otherwise, it's just the asshole end of nowhere, isn't it?
It was no, wasn't it? Yeah, and then
Yeah,
like you say, people talk about the Cold War,
yeah,
but remember we were on standby to move all the time. We also had to have
yeah,
a Bergen pact, and
yeah,
there'd often be, 2 or 3 times a year where you'd be crashed out to your receiving positions where you had to wait for the Russians to come
yeah,
in case they were going to come, or it was just an exercise and so forth. And people don't realise that, and it was a constant thing.
yeah,
It was massive. Remember, Reforger, when all the Americans came over, and it was like massive NATO reinforced because
yeah.
just huge.
We do these things well that they can't. I think they stopped them in 1989. Was the FTXs was
Oh, okay.
something, and it was. I mean, if those FTX is a training exercise, isn't it? Where you get the
Hmm.
whole regiment, the whole battle group. Usually, they go out into the set free upon out into the German countryside, and you just run havoc for
Yeah.
2 or 3 weeks. I think it stopped because it's costing the government a little bit too much money because the damage was just phenomenal. The stuff that used to get wrecked, but Cold War soldiering was different, wasn't it? So it's going to sort of go towards sort of 1990 now, and it's where we crossed paths, wasn't it? So
Hmm.
you were 2 RTR, I was
Yeah.
3 RTR, and back in 1990, these regiments still existed. They don't anymore, do they? Tell
No.
us about that. How did the trip to Northern Ireland come about for you in 2 RTRs? You were in the UK at the time, weren't you?
Yeah. Yeah. So we just moved back to the UK. Mate, I was really bored. Um, yeah, I've been sat in Fallonbuster since '87. I'd got my Lance jacket at the time. Yeah, and we came back, and I was basically based at Lulworth for a bit,
Yeah,
but I was bored. And
yeah,
then one day they said, look, this thing came up in orders, volunteers. to join 3RTR in South Armagh. Happy days.
Done.
So yeah, put my name down, and I think within a week, 2 weeks, I'd gone
Yeah,
to
because remember,
join you lot.
because we had quite a lot come over. We had, because it wasn't just second tanks. We had guys from all different, some calves. We had quite a few, wasn't it? A bit of a
Mm.
mix coming over to bolster the numbers, so we could sort of fulfil our, what would we call it, our obligation into the
Yeah,
area which you recover, which is South Armagh. And this whole sort of thing about other guys coming in, it was nice to see some other tankies arriving from a slightly different outfit, and we thought a bunch of Cockney wankers, but it's not that case, is it? It's not. Oh, you're not Arbor farmers. Yeah,
that's
I
it.
know.
Yeah, I'm a
There we go.
farmer.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow. So, but we worked really well together, didn't we?
mate, we had a really, really good time because I think what made it better is that we joined you literally, I think, the very first day of your training, or within a week of your training starting.
Yeah,
So we literally bonded, and we had to bond because of
yeah,
where we were going to.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, you know, towards the end, you were having like the NIRAPs, the Northern Ireland reports, coming in and
yeah,
telling us what was happening there and then. So you had to form this friendship because if not, you wouldn't have survived.
yeah. And you were Y Squadron, weren't you?
Yeah, I was with you
Yeah, so I was Y Squad.
in
Yeah, I mean,
Middletown.
I've still got a plaque with Y Squadron and my inappropriate nickname
Yeah,
underneath.
so mine's up in the loft,
Yeah, yeah,
and I've still got the picture of us taking as a squadron
yeah,
outside the tin city which has been made on the tank park.
yeah, yeah. So, talk us through Tin City in Senelager. Do you recall our trip there?
Um, not so much, not so much that one. I recall the other one that I went to. I mean,
Yeah,
I've been there a few times, but
yeah.
not. I think not so much that one. I remember the big, the big right at the end of it.
Oh,
Um,
with the jocks, wasn't it? It
yeah.
was with the Celtics, and they hated our guts. They wanted
Oh,
blood,
mate.
real blood.
But it was proper full on, wasn't it? In
Yeah,
fact, didn't the DS have to stop it at some point and say, right, enough's enough, because it's proper
yeah,
going for it.
yeah.
I mean,
These
they were,
rivals were
yeah,
they were we were getting proper petrol bombs thrown at us. I remember one of the guys
yeah,
shit his pants on the front line because
yeah,
the flames came underneath, which they shouldn't have done. They should have had the shield on the
yeah.
deck. It was, and maybe it was needed, but it did go a little bit far. I remember they were right up in your face. I mean, they were told to that, but for people that don't understand, the infantry hate everyone else.
Yeah.
I love the guys now. I've got a lot of close friends in the infantry, but when you're serving, that rivalry is just any excuse to give each other a dig, isn't it?
And it was a massive, like I said, green light for them to say, right, go for it. But I
Yeah,
think, like I say, it got to the point where it was just getting too much. It was
yeah.
proper, us and swinging battens at them and all this it. That the DS had to stop. But yeah, I mean that's what I remember. I mean I remember Tin City, going out on patrol and explosions or shootings, and then having your debrief afterwards.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I've also done it like I said, I've done it a few times, but I've
yeah,
actually done it once as the Sif Pop.
yeah.
So
See,
living in those houses, and like walking around the area for a week, living it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
yeah, enjoyable. So really, sort of, we were lucky with our tour, weren't we? In 1991, we were very fortunate. We didn't lose
Yeah.
anyone. We came through. We had a couple of incidents to deal with, a couple of major ones. We had the IED on the way out, which went off underneath the Chinook as we were being deployed into Middletown, where we
Well, I
had.
was out on the ground then.
You're
I
already
say
out.
out on the ground. I'd been out as advanced party.
Yeah. Oh, so you're already
So
out there. Yeah.
it was Andy Fisher.
Yeah.
Yes, he was my troop sergeant at the time. Said, right, there's an IED just gone off, which we later found out it killed
Killed the
the
nuns,
three
didn't it?
IEC officer and the nun.
Yeah. Yeah, which is horrendous. That
Shocking.
was the nun from the convent right next to our base, wasn't it?
Because were you lot flying over it when it went off?
Literally, it went off. I won't say underneath us, but we were circling in the Chinook, and I was at the back. I was one of the last men on, so we had all our weapons and that, but we didn't have any
Mm.
ammunition. So they were passing down charge magazines to the last 12 guys. Right, the last 12. If the local guys on patrol don't arrive in the next 5-10 minutes, we're dropping down. You guys are going to secure the area. We've only just landed. We've
Right.
been here an hour, and we're already
Yeah,
deploying onto the ground. Shit. But that was it, wasn't it? That's the way it was.
yeah. But
Yeah,
that was. I mean, it was a good tour. It was a good. I mean, that was proper for us, proper soldiering. Out
yeah,
on the ground. you know, patrolling and all sorts.
And it's the first opportunity, wasn't it, for us? And this is an interesting thing I'm going to come on to really sort of pretty much now. Is although it's great for us as tankies to prove we can dismount, we can become infantry, we can carry out that role. Now, what happened at the end of 1990, we were watching on TV, was the first Gulf War.
Hmm.
And I don't know about yourself, but we were itching to get out there with what we're
Oh,
going.
big time.
How did it play out for yourself? Because for us, from the third, we didn't get to go because we missed it. Basically, we were too late.
Mate, I didn't go. And I was devastated,
Yeah.
absolutely devastated, because we hadn't long been back from the tour when it when it kicked off.
Mm.
And I think at the time they were asking for battle casualty replacements.
Yeah.
And of course, because it happened so quickly, we didn't go.
No, it was job
Devastated.
done, wasn't it? Job done.
Yeah.
And as a tanky, the chance to go. I mean, our tank. I don't know for yours, but our wagons were shipped out there. They were already in the Gulf waiting for us. The wagons were gone. And we come back to unit. There was no tanks. So what we're going to do? We're just wounded.
Well, we handed over in '89. We handed over to the Queen's Royal Irish Hussars, who then went out from Fally.
Yeah.
So if it had been a year later or 6 months later,
Yeah.
we probably wouldn't have gone. Yeah, they probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have gone, and we'd have stayed. But mate, I've learnt to believe that things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Firm believer with that now.
Yeah. 100%, mate. So talk us through because we would have lost contact, didn't we, from end of the
Yeah.
tour in 1991. Tell us about the rest of your career from that point on, then.
So I went back to Lulworth, mate. Um, so I was busted. I got busted
Oh,
from
good skills, mate. Well done.
yeah, no, from acting corporal down to trooper.
Oh,
Um,
what a drop.
well, it was a massive drop.
Yeah.
What it was when we came back, I didn't. Well, there was a lot of bullying happening at Lulworth. So I actually went back to Lulworth. There was a
Yeah.
lot of bullying happening at Lulworth, and there were three lads who were the instigators of this, but unknown to us, they were smoking weed at the same time. And to cut a long story short, I told these clowns, said, listen, because none of the other force groups would do anything about it.
Yeah.
They were fairly scared. We were all living in the same accommodation. So I said to them, right, enough's enough, pack it in and all the rest of it. Cut a long story short, I was Garcon one day, and I had three clowns on at once. And two of them went to go to dinner, and I said, right, I need to change over. Can you be like 15 minutes, 20 minutes? He said, yeah, no problem at all. 45 minutes later, they came in,
What?
and one of them had a fag. It was all troopers hanging out his mouth,
Yeah.
and I lost it. And he went to throw a punch at me. Before
Yeah.
I'd known it, I battered him, and
Yeah.
then battered his mate who was with him. And I thought,
Good
well,
skills.
yeah, in for a
Yeah.
penny, in for a pound. So I went out
Why?
back
Why?
and
Why not? Yeah.
battered the other
Come
one.
on. You do
Um,
it properly.
yeah, so I got busted down
Oh,
to
mate.
down the trooper.
Shit.
But as soon as I got busted, a couple of lads then reported it to the RMP about these drugs, and they were raided and nicked.
Yeah.
I think they did 21 days
Danny Colley.
in Collie. Came
Yeah.
out, they came back, and then I think about 3 or 4 weeks later, the SIB raided again. They found a load more, so they were
No
they were
way.
booted out, dishonourable discharge, and I was made back up to Lance Jack 6 months later.
That's not too bad then, is it? It's the
No,
easy to lose, isn't it? It's hard to get, easy to lose that one, isn't it?
exactly what they say. But yeah, so
Yeah.
then we went back to Fally, didn't we? When was
Yeah.
it? 92.
92, the amalgamation. Yep.
Mate, and do you know what? I hated it. I had loads of friends in 3RTR,
Yeah.
loads of mates in 2RTR, but at the time there was still that animosity between the senior NCOs, because I was ex-3RTR, you're ex-2RTR, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So at the time, and plus I didn't really want to be back on tanks
No.
because when when the Cold War was happening, mate, we'd go out and exercise, and we'd just sit in woods for a week at a time, and then do a battle, and then go back to the woods or a different wood.
Yeah.
I wanted more from soldiering, so I then again the 9th, 12th at the time were asking for volunteers to go back out to Ireland to
Yeah.
Belfast.
Yeah.
So I put my name down, and again within a week, 2 weeks, I found myself in Hereford with the 9th,
Wow.
12th,
Yeah.
getting ready to deploy to Belfast.
Wow, so that'd be your second tour then.
Yeah, second tour within like 2 years, really.
So how did that one go?
Mate, completely different.
Really?
Yeah, Belfast in 90. So we actually deployed in 93.
Yeah,
Belfast in 93 was just a hotbed of violence. I
really.
mean, one of the IUC said to us, he's never known it as bad as this, apart from the 70s and 80s.
Why do you think that was?
I think it's because the IRA knew that the ceasefire was going to come.
So they were just sort of like making the
They
most
wanted,
of it.
mate, they wanted to get rid of everything. I mean,
Yeah.
the NIREPs before we went out to Northern Ireland, you'd hear from South Armagh hardly anything. The NIREPs of Belfast was, someone had been killed, someone had
Yeah.
been blown up, someone had lost their legs every single day. I mean, we had a
Fuck.
contact, mate, we had a contact every single day.
Really?
Yeah,
Shit.
mad. It was mad. I don't think I never heard a single round being fired in South Armagh, apart from when Coco Colby shot the GP&G from the top sanger into the field and killed the cow.
And also, didn't fucking Dunsire do that? Was that Dunsire? He squeezed off
Mm,
3 rounds from the top sanger as well.
I don't know. I remember Coco because he blamed it on the workmen down the road.
He's probably cracking one off at the time. Most people did in the top sanger.
Mate, apparently what he was doing like unloading drills, but using live rounds instead of the silver rounds we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he,
Oh,
but
month's
yeah, Coco
wages.
Colby. Yeah,
Coco.
well, the OSM got done as well, didn't he? Remember?
I can't.
Because
Do they have an ND?
yeah, he had an ND in Drumad Barracks, but he was taking
Shit.
his pistol. Yeah, he took his pistol out
Yeah.
and fired it, and yeah, because
Oh,
it
what a
went
beauty.
off in the thing, so he got months money.
That's a lot more than we would have
Uh,
lost as
yeah,
a
but like
trooper.
I said, mate, the
Yeah.
first day that we got out to Belfast, we were put on guard, so I was on nighttime guard, and I
Yeah.
was posting the guys to rear centre, and heard a burst of automatic fire from
Really.
AK. I was like, fuck.
Is that your
So I
first
pulled it in.
contact?
No, not against us. Literally, I just heard the gunfire it come from the New
Right.
Lodge
Yeah.
area.
Okay. Yeah.
But this was like a daily occurrence. You'd hear IEDs going off. You'd hear a gunfire, and
Yeah.
these are all the things that we never heard when we were in South Armagh. Because when it
Yeah.
happened in South Armagh, it was always happening really big.
Yeah.
But in Belfast, it was a regular occurrence, mate.
All the
I mean,
time.
I think we had 7 seriously injured on that tour.
Jesus. That's a
It was
lot.
mad.
What a contrast as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that I can say now that tour was the start of my mental health issues.
Was it? But you don't realise at the time, do you? You just fight or
No,
flight. You're just dealing with it, aren't you?
yeah,
Yeah. And then I guess that experience is just sat there dormant, isn't it? It's boxed off, compartmentalized.
yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, because at the time, so for me, the on the 22nd September, I know that date because that day, Pete Woods, my troop sergeant, gave me the day off,
Yeah.
and the day off in Belfast in Ireland is just non-existent. We're so tired because we've worked so hard.
Yeah.
Um, so I remember going to the gym, and gyms, for military personnel in Belfast or wherever they are around the world on operations is the only gym that you can go where you take your weapon, your body armor, and your helmet.
Yeah.
Crunching weights right next to you. I then went back to my room and tried to go sleep. Now we had things called the subs at the time. They were called the submarines because it was
Yeah.
an enclosed place.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as someone had a cough or a cold, it went around everywhere because it was all forced air.
Yeah.
So I went tried to go to sleep. I couldn't go to sleep. Went for a run around camp because the camp on Girdwood was huge. Mate, we
Yeah.
even did a BFT in it. That's how big it was.
Hell.
But then I changed because I was a team medic. I changed my first aid kit
Yeah.
for brand new first aid kit. I don't know why. That evening, I volunteered then to go out and patrol. Mate, it
Yeah.
was unheard of. You don't volunteer, especially not into the Ardennes, because that's where predominantly our area of responsibility was. And it
Yeah.
was a hotbed of IRA activity.
Yeah.
I mean, they hazed the Brits. And do you feel now that you look back on our time in Ireland, you look back at the hostility that we had with the IRA and the IRA had with us, and can you now see why they had that hostility towards us?
Completely. Do you know what? On social media, I got a lot of people from Ireland, and from the south and from the north, who refer to it as Ireland. And they say, do you understand why we were upset? And I said, I do. I said, my thought as a young soldier, and probably for yourself, Wayne, is like, we're not there for political reasons. We're there to do a job. So we don't tend to think too much about it. But I said to myself, well, if I woke up one morning and had some soldiers from another country walk around my street, I'd be fucking angry as well. I wouldn't like
Mate,
it. What are you
absolutely.
fucking doing in my street? Fuck off. I wouldn't be best
And then
pleased about
stopping you,
it.
searching you,
Yeah.
or stopping your missus searching her and getting her to pull, lift the baby out of the pram in case the baby's laid in the gun.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got into the Ardoyne, and it was in Saxons at the time. So we bomb burst out the back of the Saxons, and the street. Well, I can't remember the street. There was quite a few people on it, and again they see you and they all make different directions because they don't want to be seen speaking to the Brits in case anybody thinks they're touts or so.
Yeah.
We patrolled. No one would speak to you. I then stepped onto Etna Drive.
Yeah.
Mate, and I saw the windows open of quite a few houses,
Yeah.
right? But there was no one on the street. And Jamie's patrol had just started walking towards me, probably about 100 metres away. And I just about to shout, turn around and say, because like I said, I was a spare man. Combat. I was going to say it was, a combat indicator, because I thought it was a bomb. Then the bomb went off, and
fuck.
they got the Mark 15 coffee jar. And for
Yeah.
people who don't know what a Mark 15 coffee jar is, it's a big industrial coffee jar, it's got Semtex in it, and it's got the plunger that they use in fridges, isn't it? So when you open a fridge, the light goes up. When you close the fridge, the light goes down. So that and a detonator is used the thing, and they'd wrap it in waste, in shrapnel, nails, coins, and all that
Anything
bolts.
you could find, yeah.
And when they lobbed this thing, it was huge. It landed at his feet and blew up.
Oh, fucking hell.
But I was looking at Jamie when the device went off, and I remember hearing, seeing, and smelling the explosion. I sprinted to him. He had his clothes blown off him. The car was on fire. There were bits of boots hanging out of his legs. Trauma to his right, which I put massive hole in his right. So I put my hand on there. Loads of burns. So I used my water to wash him down.
Yeah.
And I remember this little old lady. It could have been anybody's nan, just looking over the fence, looking at me like that. And I said, "Oh, can you get me some water, please? He's my friend's really burnt." She went, "Fuck off! I hope he dies."
Wow.
Mate, but just the pure hatred.
Yeah.
That I saw. Anyway, put the blast dressings on, went to hospital with him because I was a man. But for days afterwards, I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I would hear, see, and potentially smell that. But you couldn't say anything because at the time, if you said anything, you were weak.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just gets pushed further down, doesn't it? See that information that you've seen, that trauma is just been suppressed, still there, isn't it? Bugging the shit out of you.
Yeah. But you don't realise, especially I struggled with Ireland because you'd have that. A couple of days later, about a couple of weeks later, we were going through across an IUC station called Tennant Street. I don't know if it's still there. And we'd stopped at the Crumlin Road and Tennant Street. The other Saxon had gone forward. Yeah. And I was SAC commander, so I was there looking around. All of a sudden, I trigger Horsley behind me, and some power. I don't know why we had power. We had a power behind us who was out on patrol with us. All of a sudden, we heard this, and it's round, literally past my head and Trigger's head. But you could feel the push. So we jumped inside. Yeah. So we jumped inside. We was like, "Fuck, was that around?" Yeah. And they went, yeah. And we all started laughing.
I know. I knew you would.
Weird. So we then made across, and but then 2 days later, after that happened, I was back home.
Yeah.
Walking the same streets, seeing the same people, unless they open their mouths. The same shops, the same telegraph pots, or the telegraph poles, the same telephone boxes, and there was no way you could step away from that.
No. And that's really interesting because that's something that got me is when I come back from our 6 months, although we were lucky in the sense of we didn't lose anyone, but we didn't have any injuries at all, was the fact that you walk around the same streets. Now we were ready for anything. Yeah. And it's that being the hypervigilance off the fucking chart, isn't it? And everything's a problem. You're looking at, if you live in the countryside, looking at if you're going to go, I wouldn't go across a field. It was horrible. You
Yeah.
wonder, and you're twitchy, and you wonder what people are while you're looking at people. Like, you're weighing everyone up, aren't you?
Mate, but like they say a person changes when they go to war. Sadly for me,
Mm.
it has. And I used to really beat myself up. I mean, we had other things happen there, which will be in the book.
Yeah,
Um, but it was only recently that my youngest son, Toby, is now seeing one of my mates from the regiment, his daughter, which we didn't know. He's now a civvy, he's living down there. But speaking to this guy, he said he massively struggled when he came back from Belfast.
yeah.
And we used to keep it all hidden away, didn't we?
And do you think it is that transition of you've left the hot zone, you've gone back to the UK? It just looks the same, doesn't it? It
Yeah,
is the same. It's just different. Like you say, until people start talking, you think, what's changed? I don't have a weapon on me anymore, but I still feel like I'm in danger.
yeah, exactly.
So how many tours did you do in the end of Northern Ireland?
So I did two of Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
I then had to go back for a court case
yeah,
because one of the guys shot one of the terrorists
yeah,
who was unarmed at the time. Go and sit through that. Yeah. So I
yeah.
did the two. I did South Armagh and I did Belfast.
So what point then? So did you transfer out of the tankies at that point then? Did you move on?
Yeah. So the Ninth Officer then said to me, he said, right, if you transfer to us,
Yeah,
we will give you your crew commanders. We'll give you promotion because I was still a lance chap. Give you promotion to corporal. I said, yeah, okay. But the thing about lancers, which I liked, were they were recce.
yes,
So I went into this more of this role, which was meant for me really.
yeah. Sneaky
Which I was
beaky,
like, yeah,
little baby
sneaky beaky,
tanks.
and because it was a formation reconnaissance,
Yeah,
we used to do all the big deep stuff. So I learned
yeah.
loads of different skills, and it was all stuff that I would dream of doing when I was in the RTR, but would never happen.
So it's completely different to being in a main battle tank unit. It was totally different role.
Unbelievable. Like, you were sort of like you had to think for yourself.
Yeah,
Where like in the big tanks, we were just a group of say the troop, three tanks at the time.
yeah,
In a CVRT troop, you'd have four vehicles, or you'd have boot troop. Now boot troop
yeah.
were like your armored infantry.
Right. Okay.
So you do DEMs, you do mortars, you do all sorts. Mate, it was all fantastic
Oh,
stuff.
that sounds interesting because I was
Mm.
in recce troop for about 2.5 years in the tanks, but that's just an extension of your main unit, isn't it? You're just going forward for them. You're not doing the real stuff which you guys were doing.
No, we used to do some long deep stuff.
Yeah,
Um, mate, I'd loved it. Living subsurface and a subsurface OP for 4 days.
really.
Um, Mate, it was all the stuff that we could have done in the tanks, but there was no need for it because you were just this big armored beast, really.
Yeah, yeah. We could sit there and take a few hits, couldn't we, and just crack
Yeah.
on. So, how long did you stay in the ninth, 12th?
So I stayed at night staff until my medical discharge. So I did 13 years. I did 5 with the RTR and
Yeah.
13 with night staff. So I did 18 in total.
Why, not bad. So, MD, how did that come about then?
So I broke my leg really badly. So I
Yeah,
went to the gunnery school as a schools instructor. So I passed the CADA, no problems at all. I did my first course, which was a teaching troop leaders.
yeah.
Loved it, really really good. And then one day I was going to the mess, fell off a wall and broke my leg in 4 places.
Oh
Um,
no.
Ended up in Dulwich. Had an operation. Um, was in a car, so pins and plates put into it.
Yeah,
Mate, at the time I was really, really fit. Unfortunately, I just divorced from Tracy. I'd
yeah,
married before. I've been married to Tracy for 5 years. But
yeah,
Tracy, quite rightly, had said, "Look, enough's enough. I'm sick and tired of you being a buffoon."
yeah,
Because mate, all I thought about, as most of us did in the military, you think about yourself.
yeah,
You think about yourself. Now, I had this beautiful wife at home with my two little boys. That's all
yeah,
right. She'll stay at home. I can be this arse. I can go around the world doing things that I want to do because I was always surrounded by my mates. But
yeah,
she had enough, mate, and she binned me when I came back. So I
yeah,
went to Lulworth in this massive turmoil, mate, battling with my PTSD, depression because of being divorced. Broke
yeah,
my leg, ended up in hospital. At the time, I'd been really fit. I was playing loads of rugby.
yeah,
So I thought, right, okay. So I had the 6 weeks, I think it was 6 weeks in plaster, 8 weeks in
yeah,
plaster. I came out of plaster And the very first day I came out of plaster, I went, right, got to go for a run. Went for a 5 mile run.
Yeah.
Mate, completely destroyed all the hard work they'd done.
Oh no.
So yeah, so that started the spiral downstairs. And then when I was in Bosnia in 2003,
Yeah.
I broke it again
Oh
out on
shit.
patrol.
Yeah.
I ended up in Shippo Hospital, and they removed the pins and plates, and which we found out afterwards they shouldn't have done that.
Oh shit.
I then went to Headley Court and I broke it again later on, and they just said, look, enough's enough, we can't do anything for you.
And that was it. Discharged.